Hello, Luis and Jai Shri Mataji.
Jai Shri Mataji. Thank you
Hello,
for inviting me here.
everybody, and welcome to our little chats. So we have to thanks to Luis for agreeing to talk with us. Although sometimes he's busy, but he take time to talk with us and share those important stuff, speaking about his experience, speaking about his books. For us, definitely for me, it's very precious. So thank you again, Luis, for doing that uh, for us. We saw so many uh, re recollections. We saw so many um, sharing memories in different sites. Only in Britain are probably three of them: golden memories, golden writers, uh, Virata. Uh, we are a small site here, but we want to do it exhaustively. We want to squeeze everything from one person. We don't want to leave anything untold. We turn every stone. So today we continue our story. So please, Luis, tell us whatever you want.
Okay, thank you. So, if you don't mind, we'll speak a little bit about this book that we prepared about Sri Sainath of Shirdi. My reason for writing about Saj Yoga is because Sri Mataji told me to write about Saj Yoga. She also told me to write about William Blake, but for many years she told me to write about Saj Yoga before asking me to write about William Blake. So this is a book about Sri Sainath of Shirdi and Sahaj Yoga, the two combined. So it's trying to combine the two subjects of Sahaj Yoga and Sri Sainath of Shirdi. On the back cover of the book, we have a quote of Sri Mataji where she declares him as a prophet of Sahaj Yoga. This is not new knowledge. Mother said that, and she said that so many times. Mother has highlighted this subject that there are prophets of Sahaj Yoga. There are many, many prophets of Sahaj Yoga. There are many prophets of this new age of Jerusalem, prophets of this new age of the Divine Mother. So the prophets of the past have a strong connection with Sri Mataji or with Sahaj Yoga, with the Divine Mother. This is a very important subject in Mother's talks. So Sai Baba of Shirdi. So why did I choose him to do a book? I think it shows itself. I mean, somehow it happened. It was meant to be. I don't know how. For I was trying to mark the grave of William Blake for 12 years because since the moment it was discovered until the time we got permission to mark the exact location, people knew in general the location of William Blake's grave, but not the very precise location. That location had gone lost, and then we managed to rediscover the correct location. And then we wanted to mark it because we felt this is in according with Mother's teachings because she wanted, we felt that Mother wanted that to be done because Mother said certain things in her talks that pointed in that direction, that she was not pleased the way the grave of William Blake was treated. And so for that reason, we had to wait 12 years to get the permission from the authorities to mark the exact location. And during that time, the teachings of Sai Baba of Shirdi, because he also is known as Sai Baba of Shirdi or Sri Sainath. There's many ways of calling him. During that time, it was the teachings of Sai Baba that were coming to give me a little support. And let's see if I
Sorry, that's the. Have you seen the picture? That's the tomb.
this is the stone. This stone is dedicated to William Blake and his wife, but this is not in the correct location.
Okay,
This is not the exact location where the grave of William Blake is.
we have to
So
mention that. Yes,
Sri Mataji was not pleased that people were walking over his body. In this
yes.
photograph, you can see two big trees, two
Yes.
big trees in the background behind the
Yes.
railing.
Yeah.
The grave of William Blake is next to that other tree, the smaller of the two. The two trees and the smallest of the two, very near
That one.
there is the grave. That's where the grave of William Blake is, on the lawn. And
Yes.
people are walking over the body. So obviously, Shrimataji knew the exact location because she knows these things on vibrations,
Yeah.
and she could. People are walking on his body, and mother complained about that. And I also knew that by reading about Sri Sai Baba of Shirdi, that there was an incident. So about this photograph, the photograph of Sai Baba, where people were walking over the photograph of Sai Baba. And Sai Baba started feeling the pains in his body from people walking over his photograph. It was giving him immense pain. So he told one of his disciples, "Go there and save me. Please go there and save me." Because there was a crowd of people coming to see him. And someone dropped a photograph of Sai Baba on the floor by mistake. They lost it. People were walking on top of that photograph, and Sai Baba was feeling the pains in his body as if they are walking over his bones, over his flesh. And so that disciple didn't know what to do, you see. So he went there in that direction, and then he saw the photograph of Sai Baba. So he brought the photograph. And when he brought the photograph to Sai Baba said, "Ah, what a relief, you see. All right." So he told him, "Keep that photograph and look after that photograph." So I felt, my God, you see, what Mad is telling you is so important that we should not walk over the grave of William Blake, just like we should not walk over the photograph of a great saint. These things are very important. And to me, this was a kind of a comfort. Why don't I give up this idea of marking the grave of William Blake? It's so difficult. There are so many obstacles. The authorities are not facilitating. There is an act of parliament that goes against our intention. We have to overcome a big hurdle, an act of parliament, and we don't have permission from the Minister of Interior. It's taking so long to achieve all those permissions. And I could say, why not give up? But this was the support coming also not only from other teachings, because that was the great inspiration initially, but coming also from the teachings of Sai Baba. There was also another thing Sai Baba used to say about his grave, telling us how important it is the grave of a great saint or a great deity, let's say. In this case, you could say a great deity. And I have, let me see if I can find the page, because in the book I give that quote of Sai Baba. Uh, where is it? Page 59. I'll show you that quote of Sai Baba about his grave, which I thought was a tremendous inspiration to us when we were having difficulty
Yeah, I
obtaining
find it. I
permission.
find it.
Page 59 I have here on my PDF, let's say.
Yeah.
Maybe page 59. Yes.
Even
So
when I pass away.
that's the one. So I will read it if you don't mind. So the
Please.
words of Sababa were very inspiring to me, to give me faith to continue, not to give up on that, waiting 12 years. When I pass away, Sababa used to say that about his grave before dying, because he wanted people to respect his grave when he dies. There was a great danger, is that because his disciples, there were many disciples that were Hindus, and the Hindus traditionally they will burn the body after death. This is the ritual. But he wanted his body to be preserved because he knew he was a very great incarnation, a great saint, so the body had to be respected. So he said, "Even when I pass away, believe in my words. From my tomb, my bones will give you assurance. Not only I, but my tomb would be speaking, moving, and communicating with those who surrender themselves wholeheartedly to me. Do not worry that I shall be hidden from your eyes. You will hear my bones speak and discuss your welfare. Always remember me only. Believe me, heart and soul. Pray without selfish motives, and you will attain your welfare." I thought this is tremendous inspiration. So I had for me, it was a great inspiration. I had to work for 12 years with the Blake Society, trying to get the permissions, trying to raise the funds for doing a new tomb for William Blake. And there were times we felt, maybe we should give up. It's not possible. It's not happening. But those words were always telling us, Don't give up, Luis, continue. And in the end, it was possible to achieve.
When you start this enterprise, you said took you 12 years.
12 years working with the Blake Society, trying to obtain the permissions,
Yeah.
and a few years before, when we did the research and wrote down our report, that took about 2 years to research the location and to write down a report, because that report had to be sent to the authorities, to the Blake Society, to other Blake scholars worldwide for acceptance. So we had to go through those obstacles. And then in England, you had to get permission from the ministers here to, because there was a local act of parliament that was pointing in another direction, that one cannot do that tomb there in that place.
So do you
So
remember when you start all this? Uh,
yes, I think it was around 2003 we started. Then we had that miracle of, on vibrations, we felt this is the location of the grave, and then it.
Obviously, sorry to interrupt you. Obviously, Shrimataji can go and point it straight away, but she prefer for you to do that, to do the research, to find it by yourself, and to do the hard work, knowing that this hard work will open a lot of avenues. Was easy for Shimataji to go and said, this is the location.
Exactly, but then the difficulty for us is how do we prove to the authorities that this is it? They would not be pleased that we are saying so. We are saying this is the location because mother said so. Well, where is the proof? So there were many different factors. We knew from messages that people said, "Well, look, mother said go to the grave of William Blake. You must go there and pay your respects." Shimataji also, so we knew mother had said that, but I didn't go. Me and my wife, we didn't go. We were afraid of ghosts. We didn't want to go to cemeteries. So we didn't go. Although mother said that, we didn't go. Not initially. We went later, much later when, this fear of ghosts reduces after a while. And also Shimataji told me to go to the Blake Society to help them. And I went there just once, and I thought these people are a bit crazy sometimes. It's a bit hard, and I don't feel prepared well enough to help them. I need to learn more about William Blake before I can come and join the society. And so during this research of the grave, the authorities told me, unless you are a member of the committee of the Blake Society, we cannot work with you. So now I need, you see, to be not only just a member of the Blake Society, but the committee member as well. And it was a miracle somehow. It was a big miracle. I could not even get a newspaper to give us a little advert about the grave of William Blake. This was very difficult to achieve also. Everybody refused. And then one day by accident, talking to one of those newspaper editors, I said, "Oh, look, this research was also done by a certain very important minister of religion, a great, very great priest. And he also did this research in the past of finding the exact location. And the editor of the Times, the editor, junior editor of the Times, it was the Sunday Times. It was a junior editor of the art pages. So there's a editor for the art pages, and then there's a junior editor as well. We're talking to the junior editor for the Sunday Times, not the real Times. And he said, "Do you realize that that man is actually my great grandfather, the man you're talking about, to help also mark the location? And do you realize I'm actually writing his biography? So although you told me whether we want to do a newspaper about the grave of William Blake, I said no to you. But because it also includes and mentions my great relative, he also was part of that project. Now I want to do it." And so this man went with us to the grave to write as an article, you see. Now, he wrote the article about the grave of William Blake. Very long article because we gave him all our research. His editor, the main editor, reduced his article to a little box about 3 or 4 inches, about 2 inches wide and 2 inches long. Can you imagine how tiny it is? The discovery of the grave of William Blake by two people who are amateur sleuths, Louis and Carol Garrido. Amateur sleuths, meaning not
Not
pro.
even not even British. I mean, yeah, all, yeah, Luis.
Four names, Lewis and Garrido, two amateur sleuths claim to have rediscovered the location of the grave in black. That's it. That's 2 inches square article. That's all he gave us. The poor this sub-editor got edited down to minimum. Why? Because of bad luck. Because he wanted to he needed to confirm everything I said by talking to the Blake Society. So he went to the website and the website was down because on that day the Blake Society was updating the website. So he could not access the Blake Society website. He had the phone number of the Blake Society, he rang them, and again, because of the old upheaval of updating the website, nobody answered the phone. So he concluded, we cannot verify anything these people are saying. So the article got reduced to 1 square inch, almost, tiny article, small little type. From that small little article, the Blake Society saw my article and they contacted us, because at last I did what mother said and I went and joined the Blake Society. When I joined the Blake Society, they saw my name, Luis Garrido and Caro Garrido. Then they saw the article in the newspaper. Oh, Luis and Caro Garrido, who discovered the amateur sleuths who rediscovered the location. You know what? They rang us and they invited us to become committee members of the Blake Society. This is a miracle like that. Just because that man happens to be a descendant of one of the men who also worked on this project of marking the location of William Blake in the past. This had been done before. People had tried to mark the exact location. So this is miracle after miracle. I had already spoken to 12 art editors of newspapers. They all said, no, thank you very much. We don't want that. Once you mark the location, then invite us, please. Then we want to write about it the moment you mark the location, not before. So they were not going to help. See, until that man said, I'll do everything. But then the article got reduced to a tiny little advert about it. But even that put me on the Blake Committee of the Blake Society. So then I could communicate with the authorities, which are the owners of the graveyard, to ask their permissions. So the process started. From that point onwards, I was a Blake Society committee member. And it took us 12 years to get all the permissions and to raise the funds and to mark the exact location. But throughout that process, there were many times we felt like giving up. And it was the words of Sai Baba, together with Mother's inspiration, that kept us, let's continue. Let's continue this work. You never know. We mustn't give up. And in the end, it worked. 12 years it took.
I have a question for you. Uh, but before I put it, something very interesting happens. So, dear people who watch us, I have to tell you that I spoke with Luis before we start the recording today, and I asked him what he want to talk about, having something else in my mind. And he said he want to talk about his book and about Sri Sainath of Sirdi. My intention was to ask him about William Blake tomb, but I didn't tell him. I said, okay, if you want to talk about Sri Sainath, it's okay. Guess what? We talk half an
We're
hour
talking,
about how they discovered took 12 years about, and I have questions about that, but I didn't said anything. Again, don't knowing that it's a link between, so that's why he wants to talk about, and we will continue to talk
yes,
about.
Sai Baba, yes. Uh,
So, but my question, sorry, I jumped to some other subject, like always. My question is, do you have the photo of the today location of William,
yes, if you
William
go to
Blake
my,
and everything around? Do you have some photos to be able to send it, to share it? Because I
yes,
don't have anything.
right, it's on my website. On my website, I give the whole study
Yeah.
about the location of the grave of William Blake. So it's on my website. It's
Okay.
there.
Means I
So,
didn't read it properly. That's my,
well, there's so much material on that
yeah.
website. It's hard to read everything. There's too much stuff there. hard to find. That website needs to be better organized also. It's
Yeah,
hard to find things, but it's there. If you look carefully, you'll find a lot of my recordings about the grave of William Blake are there. So yes, this book of Sai Baba, Sai
that's a
Baba,
link between Sai Baba and William Blake.
yes, a little bit. We'll talk about William Blake again. William Blake usually comes into the discussion somehow,
Yeah.
because another subject that was related somehow was about puja, because Sai Baba, as a prophet of Saj Yoga, he was already teaching about puja, like Sri Mataji told us all about puja, and then we find out that Christ also talked about puja. If you read, can I quote a little bit from the Bible about
Oh,
what Christ said about
absolutely.
puja, if you don't mind?
No, 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 absolutely.
Uh, I'll
Actually,
start.
your sound is better when you are closer than
I
the mic.
see. Okay, I'll try to do that. Okay.
Sorry.
So I think I told you before that when I first came to Sahaj, I had for the first time in my life, Christ appeared in my dream. This had never happened. I didn't see Christ, just I heard his voice. And of course, I heard this in Portuguese, because in my dream, Christ was talking to me in Portuguese, not in English or not in any other language, but in Portuguese, according to what it says in the Bible in the Portuguese translation. This is the words that I heard in my dream, but they were being said by the voice of Christ. And this message, in fact, here, the quote says it's Saint Matthew. The words came from Saint Matthew, chapter 25, verses 31, 46. So I will read just a little bit.
Please, please.
It's a parable of Christ about a kind of a last judgment, so to say, and there's a shepherd, and the shepherd divides the sheep to one side and the goats to the other side. So the sheep will be the good people, the ones who do the correct actions. The goats will be the ones who don't act properly. And this is precisely what Christ said to me in that dream just before I met Mother, which inspired me to also go and see Mother. And so the parable here says, this is now verse 34. Then the king will say to those on his right, come, you who are blessed by my father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me. So here the implication is those who do those correct actions are the ones that are chosen like the sheep to one side. The ones who don't do this type of correct behavior, they'll be like the goats and they will be discarded. They don't get the kingdom as they should. So as I was reading about Sai Baba, I could see Sai Baba is constantly giving this teaching to his disciples, the same teaching of Christ, the way unites all religions. He kept teaching this all his life to people. This is the same teaching as the teaching from Christ. So he was someone like Sri Mataji who believed in uniting all religions and explaining everything to us from all religions. It doesn't matter whatever religion. So Sri Mataji teaches us everything. And I saw, well, Sai Baba is doing the same. And he always gave this teaching from this parable of Christ without quoting the Bible, because he would not quote from the Bible, but he would teach that. He used to say to people, those who give food for the poor, they are feeding God. You see, this is exactly what Christ is saying. You have to feed me and give clothes to me. But the disciples tell Christ, but we never saw you without clothes, or needing food, or needing water, or needing any help. And Christ says, well, when you don't give it to others, if you help others, you are helping me. It's the same. When you do it to others, you are doing it to me. And Sai Baba used to give this teaching. And sometimes he would give a very strong example to his disciples. I think I already mentioned that example, that when people walked over his photograph, he could feel the pains over his body. But if someone was mistreating an animal, like there was a man in charge of looking after the horse belonged to Sai Baba. It was a gift. Someone gave Sai Baba a very old horse. That horse was retired. That horse was not meant to do any work because it was just like a special animal that now Sai Baba loves those animals. So whenever they were playing bhajans to Sai Baba, they used to say, "Bring the horse here near me," because the horse had some bells on the legs, and the horse he understood the rhythms of the tablas, of the talas, the rhythms, and he moved exactly according to the correct rhythms. And Sai Baba was a great expert in Indian classical music, you see, and that horse was incredible. So during bhajans, he enjoyed having that horse there with the bells, so the horse could also play for him. During the processions, that horse used to go behind Sai Baba with the bells, so Sai Baba could hear, the rhythm, how he walks. And the disciples, they used to carry the cart. See, there's a cart, usually is pulled by a horse, but that horse had been retired. So Sai Baba said, the man can carry the cart, and the horse let him walk easy with his bells and the fun. And the disciples were carrying the cart for the horse by hand. In that cart, they had put a photograph of Sai Baba on that cart and in a procession. But the horse was not meant to do any work at all. Sai Baba believed in helping animals, giving them retirement. He helped to pay for the retirement of a bull. A bull needed to go into retirement. This was very expensive to pay for the retirement of the bull. And that's a very long story about the bull. I can tell you that story. It's one of the
Please.
Leela Sai Baba. So the story of the bull is very interesting. Is that there's a man who has a bull who's now so. This man had been a farmer, and for many years he had never been successful in his life. So he asked Sai Baba, "Can you help me and teach me what seeds should I put in on my land because all my crops fail? Which seeds can I put in this piece of the land? Which seeds in that land? Which seeds in that field?" So that I have some success because they knew that Sai Baba was very good with planting because he had done a beautiful garden. So Sai Baba said, "Bring me some samples of your soil." So Sai Baba saw samples of his soil and he told him, "In this field, you put this crop in that field, that crop in that bit, that crop." The man became very successful. So he said, "I can afford to buy a new bull now. As for my old bull, who worked so hard for me all these years, I would like to give him retirement, send him to a special temple of Sri Nandi. Sri Nandi is like the vehicle of Lord Shiva, is like a bull. And there was a temple of Sri Nandi far away, where if you give them a bull, they will look after that bull. The bull will live there in comfort and retirement, but you have to pay a big fee. So they look after the bull, they feed the bull, they do everything. So he said, Sai Baba, I don't have quite enough money to send my bull to the retirement the way I would like to. Are you going to help? And Sai Baba said, yes, of course. Whatever money Sai Baba had there, he gave him, take all this, whatever I have. And then he told his disciples who were present, you too, whatever money you have in your pockets, just give everything towards the retirement of this bull. So they did. So they raised enough money to pay for the retirement of the bull. So the bull is looked after for life until he dies. Now they needed a man to take the bull all the way to the place of retirement. This is a difficult job because a lot of walking, many, many days of walking. And so a man who was not a disciple of Sai Baba, he was just listening outside. He heard that and he said, I know how to conduct a bull by foot because I have experience working with bulls. I can take your bull. Just give me the money. I'll take the bull to the temple and pay for the retirement. So he agreed. They gave him the money. He took the bull. But the temptation with so much money in his pocket, this man changed his mind, see. And suddenly he felt, I'm going to keep the money in that seat, you see. But meanwhile, two disciples of Sai Baba during the night, they both woke up at midnight with the same dream. And the dream, they were all sleeping in a kind of a communal room, like an ashram on the floor, all of them. And two of them, they lift themselves up from the floor, upright, because they had a frightening dream. And the dream is the bull is crying and weeping, the bull is suffering, the bull is crying, wanting help. And the two of them had the dream at the same time. So they rushed to Sai Baba and they said, this is the situation, Sai Baba. What is the meaning of this dream? And the Sai Baba said, the meaning is that you have to go and help the bull. So find me a man who can ride a horse really fast, a good rider. You should go there on a fast horse and solve the problem. So this man rode at a big speed on a horse who was a good rider, you see. And he found the bull tied up to the butcher. At the house of the butcher, the bull was tied outside the house to be slaughtered. The man even sold the bull to the butcher and was going to run away with the money. So they called the police, and the police they captured the man, where the crook was caught. They managed to stop the bull from being slaughtered. They recovered the money, and the bull was taken to the retirement in the end. But what a big drama! But Sai Baba was so busy; he had time for all these things, to save a bull, even to make sure the retirement is done properly. Sai Baba had this type of compassion for animals. And once or twice his horse misbehaved a little bit. He refused to eat. And the person in charge of looking after the horse of Sai Baba had told him, you must treat this horse as if it is my child, as if it's my son. Treat this horse. He gave instructions to the man looking after the horse.
That was
Just
happened after he died.
no, during the life of Sai
During
Baba,
the life of Sai Baba,
Sai
they
Baba had
take,
the horse,
they take
and
care
there,
of the horse.
and there was a man in charge of taking care
Yeah,
of the horse.
yeah,
And Sai Baba gave the instructions to the man in charge of looking after the horse that treat this horse, treat him as if it's my child. It means don't beat up the horse, don't be
yeah.
bad to the horse. But one day the horse was naughty, refused to eat. So this man, he went a long distance to the fields to pick up the type of grasses that the horse likes, you see. If he picked up a whole bag of the special food that the horse likes. And still the horse refused to eat. So the horse had a bad belly. He had a bad digestion. He didn't want to eat. The horse refused to eat. And the man got so angry because he worked so hard picking up all those grasses. He lost his patience and he beat up the horse with a stick. Now, Sai Baba felt all the pains on his body when he was beating up the horse. So when this man came to see Sai Baba, because Sai Baba used to meet everybody. So in the afternoon, he came to say hello to Sai Baba. Sai Baba was not talking to him. Sai Baba was angry with this man. And then he told him, why are you beating me? Instead of saying, why are you beating my horse? He said to the man, why are you beating me so hard? And then he lifted up his shirt and he showed his back. His back had all the marks of a big beating with a stick on his back, the back of Sai Baba. Because first the man denied, no, Sai Baba, I never beat you up. Never. It's not true. You are lying. You are lying. Don't say this about me. I never did that. He was worried because if Sai Baba is saying he's beating him up, now the other disciples might give him a slap, isn't it? What? You were beating Sai Baba, so the other disciples will go and give him a slap, isn't it? So he says, Sai Baba, don't say this. I never beat you up. Never, never, never. And Sai Baba lifts up the shirt and his back, he has all the marks of the beatings. Then he said, all right, I confess, I didn't beat you up. I beat up the horse, only the horse. And Sai Baba says, it's the same. See, I get it on my body. So this is how Sai Baba was, these stories are very interesting. There's another story that's a little bit similar. This is a man who was being very sick, was very ill, and Sai Baba knew the reason. The reason he drinks too much milk. He eats too many cakes made with milk cakes. It is very bad for his health. He has to stop doing this. But he couldn't stop. He was addicted to those type of sweets with milk. And every day he used to buy those sweets and then he would offer them to the photograph of Sai Baba. Then he would go to work, and then in the evening, arriving home, the first thing he would do, he'd go to the altar and eat those cakes. So first, he offers them to Sai Baba, to the photograph, then it becomes prasad, and then coming back from work, he would go and eat all those sweets. Sai Baba told him not to eat this type of sweets. So when they arrives home and the sweets are gone, so he gets very upset. Someone ate my sweets. Must have been my wife. So he goes to my wife, where are my sweets? I gave them to Sai Baba now. When I come back home from work, I eat the sweets. Where are they? He said, I didn't touch them. No, but they're not here. Must have been a cat. I saw a cat. I saw a cat passing through. Okay. So he locked the room. So next day did the same. Before going to work, he offers the sweets. He locks the room very well. The cat cannot get inside. When he comes back from work, he opens the door and the sweets are gone. Then he then he hires a carpenter. The carpenter blocked the windows, with wood. He made sure there's no holes on the floorboards, nothing. He did the door even stronger and stronger lock and double lock and more barriers. He went to work. He came back and the sweets are gone again. This is impossible. No one can get inside. Maybe Sai Baba is eating the sweets. I don't know. Because he's the only person in the room with Sai Baba's photograph. He offered the sweets to Sai Baba, but they're gone. But Sai Baba never used to eat the sweets. The sweets are there. When he comes from work, he eats the sweets. Sai Baba told him not to eat the sweets. They were very bad for his health. He was getting very ill. And so they said, it's the cat. The wife said, I know it's the cat because that cat keeps appearing here. Even I close the doors and I see the cat coming and going. Must be the cat. So this man, instead of going to work, him and his wife, they stayed there with a big stick, waiting for the cat. So when the cat came, they beat up the stick, they beat up the cat with the stick, and the cat was gone. After that, he ate the sweets and they went to see Sai Baba. Now he felt happy. At last, he solved the problem, you see. But when he arrived there, Sai Baba would not talk to him. Sai Baba was very upset with me. This is the way you treat me, Sai Baba tells him. Why do you beat me so hard? I was only trying to help you. And then he lifts the shirt and shows his body, and there you go. The marks are on his body. So, oh, yes, so I'm trying to save your life, and this is how you treat me. You beat me up so hard, you and your wife, with a stick. So he was a great protector of the animals also. The stories, I find the stories very interesting. So whenever reading stories of Sai Baba, it reminded me very much of the miracles of Sri Mataji are also very extraordinary. We had a little incident in Portugal. You see, that dog remember I told you before, there was that dog, he came into the car and I could not travel with mother.
Yeah,
The
I
dog,
remember that. Yeah.
the dog traveled with mother, not me. I had to go by taxi in the end, by bus, and then we took the taxi. So now this dog, he was very old, you know. There's a story to do with this dog. This dog was extremely old. And it was a she dog, a she. It was a female dog and could not have children. This dog never had children in his life, ever. And now the owner of the dog was a Saj Yogi, but he was an orphan. He had lost his father and his mother. They both died of cancer, I think. So he felt what he has now is the dog. The dog is very important to him. But before leaving home, because when the parents died, he started living with his grandmother. And the grandmother got very attached to the dog also. So this dog had been looked after by him, who lost his parents, and by the grandmother. You see, so there was quite a unity in that family. So when the Saj Yogi moved out of the home to live as a Saj Yogi in an ashram, he took the dog with him. But that means now the granny is totally alone at home. And the granny wants to have the dog. The dog is a good company. She's afraid to be alone. She wants the dog. The Saj Yogi, he wants the dog. Also because, he's used to having that dog. And so they have this problem. So they found a solution. Let's hope the dog can have some children. The granny will accept a child from that dog. If not the dog, at least a child from the dog. But the vet said, impossible. This dog is infertile. There's nothing we can do. Now, as you remember, this dog, I didn't tell you this part of the story, but when mother was talking to all the Saj Yogis, this dog was there in the house, and it jumped very, very respectfully onto mother's settee. Mother was sitting on a settee, on a long settee, and the dog jumped into mother's settee, the same settee where mother was sitting, with great respect, not going near. And then very, very, very slowly, without anybody noticing, he came closer and closer, closer to mother. And then the dog put the chin on top of the leg of Sri Mataji, and there he stays. And mother said, look at the respect in this dog, how he loves me also. He recognized me. This is the same dog that took my place the next day, you see. But I saw the dog doing all this, and he was there with his chin resting on mother's leg, and mother's putting her hand on the sastra of the dog, and mother saying, look at the respect. how he came to me very, very slowly, not to disturb while I was giving a talk, not to disturb anyone. We hardly noticed him coming slowly, 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 and then he stayed there like he was in paradise, not on mother's lap, but on the same seat with the head on top of mother's leg, and mother put her hand on the sastrar of the dog. And he stayed like this. The dog was in paradise. And guess what happened? After mother left, the dog became pregnant, you know. So a dog that was infertile, somehow mother cured that dog also, you see. The dog was infertile. My girlfriend was infertile. She gave birth also because soon after I we stopped, we separated. She got married soon after that. And then 9 months later, she gave birth to a child. So mother also cured. There was also Sajogini who came to that tour where mother was, and that Sajogini had been trying to have children for many years, without success. And Sri Mataji told her also, I think because of all the work you did now towards Portugal, organizing this seminar and doing everything, you have cleared out so much. I think now you can conceive, I think. So a few days later, this Sajogini does a pregnancy test, and guess what? She's pregnant. So in Portugal, mother, in a short period, we saw there three miracles. That Sajogini, as mother said, at last became able to conceive. The dog was able to conceive at last, and we needed a puppy for the granny, wanted a puppy from the dog. That girlfriend of mine who had enormous pains and difficulties in that region of the abdomen, mother declared, I think now she can conceive also. And Mother proved, the healing powers of Mother were amazing. And this reminds me of Sai Baba and it reminds me of Sri Mataji. They are so similar because Sai Baba was always helping people to conceive. He was an expert at solving those problems. In those days, there was great shortage of food, so people were not being fed properly. So infertility was a big problem for ladies because they had not been fed properly from young age. And sometimes it was very difficult to conceive for some people if the health was not perfect. But Sai Baba was an expert at solving this. We saw what an expert mother was also in solving all sorts of problems. So I've always felt from day one when reading the stories of Sai Baba, this reminds me of mother, reminds me of Christ. And then Sai Baba was very strong on puja, like Sri Mataji. Sri Mataji did so many pujas to help us. And Sai Baba was doing so many pujas also. He was having several pujas per day, you see. In the same day, he would have several pujas per day. This is to help people. Sri Mataji is doing the same for us. And the thing is that Christ also talks about puja. Do you mind if I read just one or two quotes about puja from Christ?
Absolutely, yeah, sure.
So this is in the Bible, but this shows the
Hold on a
oneness.
second. Hold on a second. Quoting from Bible. Uh, from my part and from many Sahajagis I know, is no problem about that. So we
Let me
don't
see Bible.
we don't have to apologize quoting from Bible. We quote from all the scriptures we consider truth. Therefore, we go for quoting the Bible without any problem. We don't have
Thank
to
you.
feel a little bit upset or anxious about that. I was talking with Chris Marlowe the other day, and we also have some quotation from Bible. We know a little bit about every scripture, but probably we know by default because we are born in Christian country more about that scripture. So we don't have any problem with this one.
Thank you, Daniel. In that case, I will proceed because this one is a link between William Blake and Christ and Sai Baba because they all were very strong on pujas. And so here in the Bible already, Christ was, you know, through Christ, through the Bible, we learn a lot about puja. And then we have also a painting of William Blake illustrating that puja. William Blake did a very beautiful illustration of this puja. So this is all in this book of Sri Sainath, where I'm trying also to show the oneness of all religions, like Sai Baba was doing, like Sri Mataji always did, the oneness of all religions. So about puja, Christ was already doing puja, and so here we have the Gospel of. I think this is the Gospel of Saint Matthew when it starts here. Let me see which gospel is this. Uh, yeah, this one is the Gospel of Saint Matthew, chapter 26, verses 6 to 13. So the title is Jesus anointed at Bethany. Bethany is a place near Jerusalem. So while Jesus was in Bethany, in the house of Simon the leper, a woman came to him with an alabaster jar of very expensive perfume, which she poured on his head as he was reclining at the table. When the disciples saw this, they were indignant. Why this waste? They asked. This perfume could have been sold at a high price and the money given to the poor. Aware of this, Jesus said to them, why are you bothering this woman? She has done a beautiful thing to me. The poor you will always have with you, but you will not always have me. When she poured this perfume on my body, she did it to prepare me for burial. Truly, I tell you, whenever this gospel is preached throughout the world, what she has done will also be told in memory of her. So this was Saint Matthew, verses 26, chapter 26, verses 6 to 13. So here, Christ is defending the puja. You see, the puja is taking place. The disciples are against the puja, and Christ defends the woman doing the puja, defends the puja. He is in favor of the puja.
I
Then we'll
dare
see.
to, I dare to interpret a little bit about the disciples who obviously they are not yet realized people, and I'm not sure if they are against puja or they don't know about the puja. They have no idea what's happened there. They treat the gesture of the lady, which was a pujari, was a pujari avant la lettre. She just do that uh, form of worship naturally. That form of worship of her came to her naturally, but all the disciples interpret that gesture as a mundane one. They didn't realize the importance of the gesture, which finally Christ reveal it.
So I will continue if I may. So now another one, also about puja. This one, this one is from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 7, verses 37 to 50. This is the one that William Blake illustrated. So the title here is Jesus anointed by a sinful woman. A woman in the city who was a sinner, having learned that Jesus was eating in the Pharisee's house, brought an alabaster jar of ointment. She stood behind him at his feet, weeping, and began to bathe his feet with her tears and to dry them with her hair. Then she continued kissing his feet and anointing them with the ointment. Now, when the Pharisees who had invited him saw it, he said to himself, if this man were a prophet, he would have known who and what kind of woman this is who is touching him, that she is a sinner. Then turning towards the woman, he said to Simon, do you see this woman? This is now Christ talking to Simon, the Pharisee. Do you see this woman? I entered your house, you gave me no water for my feet, but she has bathed my feet with her tears and dried them with her hair. You gave me no kiss, but from the time I came in, she has not stopped kissing my feet. You did not anoint my head with oil, but she has anointed my feet with ointment. Therefore I tell you, her sins, which were many, have been forgiven. Hence She has shown great love, but the one to whom little is forgiven loves little. Then he said to her, your sins are forgiven. But those who were at the table with him began to say among themselves, who is this who even forgives sins? And he said to the woman, your faith has saved you. Go in peace. So, uh, this is another biblical report, of course, from a different gospel, the Gospel of St. Luke, where Christ is again defending the puja. The person doing the puja gets criticized, but Christ defends and justifies the puja. He also justifies her actions on the grounds of tradition because, they should have washed the feet of Christ as he entered the home as a gesture of respect towards a great saint that he was. They didn't, or an elder. They didn't wash his feet as they should. This was good tradition. They should have done. They didn't. They didn't kiss him also when he arrived. That was a lack of protocol. But this woman kissed his feet at least and washed his feet. So she performed all the correct actions that they should have performed, the hosts. So Christ is defending the puja again and defending the woman, and other people are objecting to it. So we see here a great oneness of religions, the teachings of Christ, the teachings of Sai Baba, because Sai Baba was accepting the puja also, like Sri Mataji was accepting our pujas and defending them and explaining the reason and all that. So the Bible gives us another account of pujas and Christ, of course, and this one here. Uh, this is another one. It's very similar. The anointing at Bethany. Anyway, I won't read anymore because this is in the book. But I think the point is when
From
William Blake, when William Blake made the
what,
illustration of this painting,
which,
this is the point.
which, which, from what part of the Bible was that one? So
The last one was Luke chapter 7 of Luke, the one I just read, the
and
last
the
one.
one you want to read it is from
I've
Luke.
read that one. I read the
Okay.
one from Luke already,
Yeah.
and that
Uh,
was chapter 11, verses 37 to 50.
have
And
you
William
make a
Blake,
have you make a collection of those
they're
quotations?
in the book of Sai Baba, they are there, those
Yeah.
quotes. I was reading from the book of Sai Baba, that book we prepared.
Yeah.
And in that same book, we have a painting of William Blake illustrating the washing of the feet of Christ by that sinful lady with the tears
Yep.
and kissing her feet, kissing his feet. And William Blake made a very beautiful painting of this puja, where you can see she's kissing her feet, the feet of Christ. But then next to Christ, there is the Virgin Mary also. The Virgin Mary is there, and you can see the feet of the Virgin Mary as well. So we have the feet of Christ, we have
Yep.
the feet of the Virgin Mary, and the Virgin Mary is looking at Christ with approval. During the puja, Christ is looking at the Virgin Mary, and the Virgin Mary is looking at Christ. So they both are approving the puja. Well, that's the one. That's the painting of William Blake. So suddenly in this book, we have the grave of William Blake, we have the grave of Sai Baba, we have the pujas of Sai Baba, we have the pujas of Christ, we have the pujas of Sri Mataji. So in this book, some of the points we're trying to make is to look at this oneness of all religions, and how Mother also, like Sai Baba, gave so much love to the animals. That I give that dog as an example. That dog was allowed to travel in Mother's car, and I was told to, you take the bus or you take you take the. This
Come
reminds
on.
me. This reminds me. Sai Baba was saying, "All right, you carry the cart and let the horse travel light, carrying nothing." So the dog traveled with Mother, and I traveled by bus and by taxi, and I got a big miracle in doing so. This was such a good experience for me. That trip going by taxi with the Saj Yogis was a great lesson for me. I learned so much in that event. So
Can
thanks to
I
the dog.
can I can I make a little no, observation? How should I put it? Um, about the power of God to help people to conceive. You give today many examples, which are very interested. But when you talk about that, my first thought was about the immense power of God, which is to create. So the big creation, the first creation, the second creation was nearly nothing for God. Expand that power to the human level probably is nothing, but for us, it's something fantastic. It's something palpable. We can see the miracle straight away before our eyes. Is the easiest way to get close to the power of God because we, with our little mind, we cannot realize the bigger power, which is that of the bigger creation. Comparing with that one, probably uh, this human miracle is nothing, but it's something to give us. So that was my thought during your speaking about
I agree,
those.
totally agree with that. Yes, I mean, this is to us the miracles are very important. They're beyond our understanding, but this is nothing for God, really. God can do anything, but
Yeah,
it's a wonder for us.
yeah.
So in her talk, Srimataji gives Srimataji in her talks gives great praise about Sai Baba of Shirdi. She she teaches that he's someone very, very special because of his power of love. You know, he was someone, his great gift was the power of love he had. And I didn't read, but in the book you have a few extra things about Christ also did the puja to the feet of the disciples. Now,
Yes.
this is something very extraordinary that Christ, on one occasion, he actually did the puja himself to the feet of his disciples and told the disciples to do the same one to another, you see. I thought this is incredible.
What was the meaning of that?
Oh, this is beyond my understanding, really, but it reminded me of another situation where Mother was talking about the power of love also, because this is to do with the power of love. Sai Baba was a person, according to Mother's teachings, who had that special gift of love. So that made him a very, very special person. And there was one occasion, there was a meeting with Mother, and Mother asked us a very strange question, you see. She asked the question to us, what was the name of the wife of Abraham Lincoln? Now, the wife of Abraham Lincoln is a very important lady, extremely important because she played such an important role in Abraham Lincoln becoming the president of the United States. She was behind him, supporting him. Without her, Lincoln may not have become the president of the United States. Who knows? But she played a very important role. She was a mother. She gave him so many children. She was an excellent wife and an excellent mother. And she did so many wonderful things. But the question Mother is asking us, what is the name of the wife of Abraham Lincoln? And nobody knows the answer in that audience. All of us as yogis, and some of the yogis there from abroad as well, nobody knew. And then Mother says, it's very simple, Mary Lincoln. Because Mary is amongst Christians, this is the most common name. You could almost have guessed her name is Mary and the surname is Lincoln. Of course, I mean, this was such an easy question. But
My
then Mother,
first thought, my first thought was Sarah, but
Mary
you know,
Lincoln. So if I remember the story properly, I was there with Mother, and we were all there. Then Mother asked another question. This is a difficult question, in fact. And why is it none of you could remember her name? Again, we don't know the answer to this question. This is a difficult question from Mother. And Mother then explained in her own words, I cannot quote from memory all this, that we will always remember people like Christ, people who had a lot of love. You see, the name of those people who showed enormous love for everybody. No one will forget their names. Those people live eternally. They're immortal, you see. An example, of course, is Abraham Lincoln, who gave so much love to all the people in his land, the way he saved the people from slavery. When Lincoln died, thousands of people committed suicide on that day. They felt it's not worth living on this earth the moment Abraham Lincoln died because he was assassinated and he died. There was his funeral. On that day, lots of people said, I don't want to live on this earth without Lincoln here. And they took their lives. This was the love they had for Lincoln. But of course, he had done something extraordinary. He had given freedom to all the slaves. He had helped all the women. He was someone that everybody loves. And suddenly we could not remember the name of your wife, although she was a good person, a very great soul, but because she was not doing this work of giving so much love to everybody, like we can't remember the name of Lincoln, but we even forget the name of his wife. This is what happens. So this power of love is something incredible. And Mother gave this distinction to Abraham Lincoln by saying, these are the people who will never ever be forgotten. Everybody will know their names eternally. See, they will live forever. And Sai Baba, Mother says, is one of those rare people with the power of love, which was immense for helping everybody. And on that same occasion, Mother also noticed that that was an important day according to the lunar calendar when we were meeting. That day had a very great meaning according to Mother's teachings also, and I can't remember now the details. My memory is very poor, but Mother said if you had asked the Indian Saj yogis, they would have told you about this because they know. See, they're here in your collective, they are Saj yogis, they know all these things from India, and I have taught these things as well. And none of you knew that today is such an important day according to the lunar calendar and the meaning behind it. And I've taught these things to you, Saj yogis, but they would have explained these things to you. And then Mother says something very unique. I've never heard Mother say that before. And she says, I think you should do puja to the feet of the Indian Saj yogis there with you. You know, we were astonished. Mother said that, what? Go and wash the feet of the Indian Saj yogis now. So we said, wow, this is unique. Nobody did, of course. Mother said that, but nobody did. There was an Indian lady, Saj Yogini, was a very close friend of ours, me and my wife, and her husband too. This is a couple, Saj Yogis. He's an Englishman, she's an Indian Saj Yogini. We're very close friends. And she said, came to us and said, Luis and Carol, here I am. My feet are available. When do you want to do my pujas? She was teasing us because she knew we wouldn't do it. And she said, I've been asking everybody, any volunteers? There's not a single volunteer. And you are my friends. Why don't you do my puja? You can come to my place next day or come and do it. And of course, we all said, no, thank you. Another time maybe we took Mother's words as a kind of rhetoric sentence, not something to be done immediately. It
Yeah.
never happened in the end. But this is interesting because it reminds me of Christ doing the puja to his disciples and telling them to do it to one another. And Mother is giving us the same teaching. And we were a bit surprised because this is new. So Mother said that. I don't think it happened in the end, but it was an interesting thing that Mother said it. If you had more respect for the Indian Saj yogis that are here in our collective, you would have learned a lot. So the point Mother said, you better do puja to the feet of these Indian Saj yogis here in your collective. As far as I know, it never happened, but Mother said it at least.
Can I
And
interfere a little bit with another thought who come in my head? Listen to you. We know how bad is the Catholic Church, but they are the only one who keep that tradition. We don't want to praise the Catholic Church, quite opposite. Despite of the icons behind me, which are art collection, not price to Christianity, uh, we are open to everything. But because now our discussion goes in that direction, we are happen to talk a little bit more about Bible and the church, the Christian church. Speaking about that habit, is the only one who keep going in the Christian church, especially in the Catholics. So of course it's just a piece of theater there when the Pope washed the feet of choose 12 ordinary people, but we want to mention that just because, at least from my part, I believe that it's just a PR. So let's make it clear our position here. So that's I want to
yes, so the point I was trying to make is there's such a big tradition for puja, in the East already, and we received that knowledge through the Bible that the puja was a very respectful thing to do. Otherwise, Christ would not have told the disciples to do it, or he would not have allowed it to be done to himself. It proves that Christ respected puja, that it's important, very important ancient tradition. And we were very lucky to learn it from Mother and to be allowed to wash Mother's feet as we were. And Sai Baba did the same because people used to wash his feet and massage his feet with the sandalwood and do that ritual more than once per day. And this was something, although he was so busy, Sai Baba, he considered that such an important thing to do, you know. This is for the well-being of the universe. It's something that the deities allow for the well-being of the universe, for the benefit of everybody. So it's a very auspicious thing. And I thought I found it interesting to see this connection between all the religions, you know, and the way Mother inspired us to look into the teachings of Sai Baba is because Mother said he is a prophet of Saj Yoga. So to me, that makes him someone that we really uh, should look at. And when I discovered, oh my goodness, he's giving the same teachings as Christ as well. This is another discovery for me. I was surprised, you know, because I thought, my God, he's a Muslim, he's a Hindu, he's teaching Hinduism, he's teaching Hinduism, but he's also teaching Islam. But then he's also teaching Christ. He's teaching the teachings of Christ as well to people, you know. And I thought this is extraordinary. I'm glad that Mother pointed us in the direction of learning about this important person. Without Mother, I don't think I would not known that he exists even, you see. So I'm very thankful to Mother that she pointed this important person for us to learn from. And I found him so helpful to me during that phase of marking the grave of William Blake. It was like a support that he was there. And the mother had also told me to write my memories of Saja Yoga and my testimonials. Mother used the word testimonials, and I was having difficulty to do it. And this was another great inspiration to see how the disciples of Sai Baba, how they kept the stories of Sai Baba. They recorded them, they spread them, they taught them to other people. Later, they were written down. And I thought how much I benefited from those little stories about what Sai Baba did, what happened, the miracles. I said, my goodness, we must do the same to Mother. We have to do it. Mother told me to do it, so here I am. Unashamedly talking about myself and my experiences. And the only excuse I have is that Mother told me to do. And I know I benefited reading those experiences from other Saj Yogis. So in the case of Sai Baba, there was another Saj Yogi who told me a very important story about Sai Baba. And this helped me a lot. So in those days, this was 2005. Shri Mataji was traveling. She went to France and she stayed at one of the Sheraton hotels. So they knew Mad was coming. Mad would only be there for a day or two, stopping in a flight, and then from there she would go to another country. She was not going to give any programs or anything. She was just in transit and she wanted to rest and to see the local Saj yogis, maybe from Paris or from France, a few. And then she would continue on a travel, on a trip. Mad was already very old because this was 2005. Uh, at the time, Mother was not in her physical form. She was having already, you know, signs of old age and everything, you know. But when the Saj Yogi heard that they were preparing the room for Mother to stay, because when Mother stays in a hotel, Saj Yogis would go there and prepare the room, clean it, make it very beautiful. Sometimes they would arrange the bed the way Mother likes, you know, because Mother sometimes likes the bed turned in the direction of Lord Shiva, so her head is towards Lord Shiva. Mother likes that small detail to be observed, if possible, you know, whenever possible. So
What was the direction? What was the direction of
well,
the
in
bed?
England, sometimes Mataji asked in England when she was in a hotel to turn the bed towards the north because Lord Shiva is in the north, and
Yes.
Mother likes to turn her Sastrara towards the north,
Yep.
towards Lord Shiva. The north is the area of Lord Shiva, the Himalayas, let's say.
Yep.
So this is the direction Mother likes to, if possible, whenever possible. Mother likes to sleep like that. So Saj Yogis do their best, if possible, to arrange the room. And when this Saj Yogi, his name is Gwenal Veresh. So he wrote a few very nice books about Saj Yoga, very many books about Saj Yoga, very nice ones. Mother told him also to write a book about the Divine Mother. And this Yogi told me the story. He was also like me, a great enthusiast about Sai Baba and the stories of Sai Baba. And he knew from reading the stories of Sai Baba that Sai Baba used to hold this photograph. Before giving the photograph to a disciple, he would hug the photograph or hold the photograph in his hand and then give the photo to the disciple. Now, Shimataji did this to me. The first photograph I had of her, Shimataji held the photograph and then she gave it to me. And she said, this is very important. You have to frame it properly and look after this photograph with respect. And don't use plastic frame, use a glass instead of plastic, use a glass, you know. Mother gave me all those instructions on the first day that I met her, you know. She gave me a photograph, and that felt like a great protocol. And Sai Baba used to do this protocol of giving his photograph also to the disciples for personal meditation, for worship, for puja. They needed the photograph. And he used to hold the photograph and sometimes even hug it. So he had a photograph of Sai Baba, this Sai Yogi, and he had this desire. Maybe mother will vibrate my photograph just by looking at the photograph. So he said to the people who were organizing the room, can you put this photo of Sai Baba of mine in the room where mother is staying for decoration, there on the wall somewhere? And they couldn't find a place to put it, so they put it in a corner there. And they prepared a place for mother to sit, which was far away from the photograph of Sai Baba and hard to see from that angle. So mother couldn't quite see. When she came, she sat down there. She couldn't quite see the photo of Sai Baba, but she felt it. She said, what are those vibrations there in that corner? Why is it such strong vibrations? Why is such strong vibrations? What is that? And they said, oh, mother, it's a photograph of Sai Baba. And mother said, let me see it, let me see, bring it. So they brought the photograph of Sai Baba from the wall, and mother kept the photograph on her lap. So mother fulfilled the desire of that Sas Yogi of looking at the photo, vibrating the photo, keeping the photograph on her lap. And then, of course, the photograph went back to the wall, you know, so this, and that photograph was returned to the Sas Yogi. This is Gwen Alvarez. But mother did something else. Mother didn't just hold the photograph on a lap like she did. Then she put the photograph on her sastrara. Mother did one step further, and she put the photograph of Sai Baba on a sastrara, and she said, from now onwards, the photograph of Sai Baba will have even more powerful vibrations because the photograph of Sai Baba already had very, very powerful vibrations. Mother could not see it, but she felt it. You know, she knew somehow. She felt there's something very powerful there in that corner. What is it? It was the photograph of Sai Baba, but then she said she put it on her sastra and she said, now the photograph of Sai Baba will have even more power. It will be even more powerful, more vibrations even from it. So I said, this is extraordinary. To me, this was like an inspiration to create a book about Sai Baba, showing all the existing photographs of Sai Baba. Because Madi is saying now they are even more powerful. So, all right, let's have a book with all
Yeah.
the photographs of Sai Baba. So there it is.
All are here.
All of them. I try to use all the photographs of Sai Baba that we know that exist
Yeah.
and all the paintings of Sai Baba, because Sai Baba also blessed some paintings. In those days, if you wanted a big photograph of Sai Baba, it was very difficult to do. So they had to do a painting based on a small photo. So they had a small photo of Sai Baba. From that, they can make a big painting so everybody can see it from a distance for crowds, you know. Or if
And
you are doing
just
not
just to
doing a
make it
play,
yeah, and just to make it clear, the photo you are talking about in the Srimataji's hotel was belonged to Gwen Veres, Gwen Vinayaka Veres. Yes,
yes,
it's true.
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That photograph was returned to him. But this is a famous photograph of Sai Baba. This is not the original photograph, it's a replica. So that photograph is a photograph of Sai Baba standing, leaning against the wall. So Sai Baba is getting old, and when he's going to his garden, because every day he would go to his garden for meditation. So on the way to the garden, being very old, he stopped and he's resting there against the wall to rest. And the disciples are holding him up so he doesn't fall because he's now getting very old.
So where is the photograph now?
If you look in the book, for instance, it's on page, let's see.
No, 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 the original, the one who stay in Srimataji's room.
That belongs to Gwen. Gwen kept that photograph. It was returned to him. The one mother vibrated.
Yeah,
But my understanding of it is that mother, you found it, yes, that's the one. Sai Baba leaning against the wall.
yeah.
It's a group photograph. So Sai Baba and his disciples are there with him. They are supporting him. But my understanding of this incident with Sri Mataji is that Sri Mataji is vibrating all the photographs of Sai Baba.
Yeah.
I can tell you another story
Yeah.
about vibrations in Portugal if you would like to hear. So
Oh,
this is sometimes I like to give stories from other Saj yogis, because I learn a lot when they tell me their memories. So I was not present with this incident at the Sheraton Hotel in Paris, but I learned this story from Gwen Alvarez. So I felt this was a great lesson for me. Another Saj yogini gave me a great lesson about vibrations and statues of Christ. And this happened with Sri Mataji in Portugal. And I said, oh my God, this is such a lovely story she's telling me. And so they went to the castle of St. George in Lisbon. It's a very important location for tourists to go and see. And Sri Mataji went to see the castle of St. George in Lisbon. It's a very beautiful place to go. It's at the top of the hill. And from the top of the hill, you can see the river, you know, Tagus or Tej, we call it Tej, or you can call that river Tagus if you want in English. And from the distance, you could see the big statue of Christ. Like in Rio de Janeiro, they have a very big statue of Christ, Christ the Savior. And in Portugal, we did an imitation of that. We have our own little statue of Christ the Savior there on the top of a hill in front of the river by the
but
bridge.
much smaller, much smaller.
It's massive. You can, I mean, it's so big because you have to see it from it. It's massively big, but the one in Rio de Janeiro is even bigger. But
Yes.
that one is also very big, but not so big like the Rio de Janeiro. But for us, it's massively big. They say that because Christ is there with the hand, and then there is the sleeve. On that sleeve of Christ, a man can stand up, can stand inside the sleeve, standing up. So you can imagine the size. Even the sleeve is enough for a man to stand up there inside the sleeve.
Wow.
So very big, of course. And from distance, mother can see the statue. So mother said, "Can you feel any vibrations coming from that statue?" And the Saj Yogi is present. I was not present. I learned this lesson from another Saj Yogini who told me the story. And so they put the hands towards the photo, and they could not feel any vibrations coming from the statue. Then mother said, "Now, okay, let's do an experiment. You put one hand towards me and one hand towards the statue. This is a big distance across the river. And they put one hand towards mother, one hand towards the statue of Christ, and now they start feeling the vibrations on both hands. And this is it. Mother is giving you a lesson. See, there's a way of vibrating photographs. There's a way of vibrating statues. You can increase the vibrations of a statue or the vibrations of a photograph. So mother, in that case, showed them how to increase the vibrations of that big statue of Christ. So the statue is giving vibrations. I've been told that still today you can get vibrations from that statue. So the Saj is there. They did a good job. Mother did a good job. So the statue is giving vibrations for everybody, for all the
What's the
devotees.
what's the benefit of giving vibration to those sites or to this status?
So
I
you see,
know, but I want you to say.
who am I to say? But I think the devotees of Christ or religious people or even curious people, supposing they are born realized souls, when they go there, if the statue has vibrations, the Kundalini will come up. So, in a sense, they are benefiting very much. The whole town is being blessed by the vibrations of Mother, the vibrations of Christ, the vibrations of God, let's say. So,
Exactly.
it's very important to give vibrations to the whole world as best as we can.
Exactly. That exactly was my point, and I go a little bit further. So it's our duty to do that. Even Shimataji is not with us, even more because Shimataji is not with us. It's our duty to do that on a regular base with our cities and towns we live, because all the vibrations around are not the best one. We know that we are living in a big turmoil, political, social, and whatever world. So the only way to address that is through vibrations.
True. I believe with that, Tos. I believe in
So
that.
that lesson Shimataji told to those Sahaja Yogi, and they told you, and you told me now, and we told everybody, I believe should be learned by each of us and try to do that. Okay, not on a daily basis because we cannot do it on a daily basis, but at least to be aware about that because that's the only way to improve the vibrations in our place we live in.
Yes, I heard a similar story from Linda Williams. So Linda Williams used to live in Scotland. She had the property there. And in that property or nearby, maybe, I don't know the exact location, there was one of those holy statues of the past. These are prehistoric stones. You know, the prehistoric people used to put a stone
Main here.
in the ground. It's a menhir, you can say, yes. Like a megalith. Some people can call it a megalith.
Yeah.
And it's there, you know. And these stones used to be holy for people, and they used to be there, you see. And so Linda, she showed this stone to Shrimataji, and Shrimataji asked her, "Is the stone giving any vibrations at all?" Because after a time, these things need to be cleansed or charged up again, you know. And she put her hands to the statue. No, they are not giving. The statue at the moment is not giving any vibrations, mother. That's what she could feel. So then she told Linda to ask permission to mother for the statue to give vibrations. So with mother's permission, the stone would maybe give vibrations with mother's permission. So Linda somehow did this internal prayer with mother there
Wow.
and asked permission for the statue to, not the statue, this is stone,
Yes. Yeah.
for the stone to start giving vibrations again,
Wow.
and the vibration started flowing on on that stone again. So you know, with mother's permission, the you see these monuments can give great vibrations again. So
Wow.
in this case, it was a matter of asking mother's permission for the vibrations to flow again through that stone. So the stone was vibrated that way. So that stone might have had vibrations in the past, but then things can go wrong after a while.
Wow.
So
Great lesson today. Great lesson today. So, uh, wow, that's fantastic. I'm very much hoping that the people who watching us, listen to us, will learn a little bit of that lesson. What you told me also bring me to the Stonehenge. Srimataji said that those are Swayambhus. Now, we all knows that those stones are, or it's a human constructions. So it's not a Swayambhu in a sense of appearing naturally from the earth, are built by people who are carrying them from some other part. So, as we talked before about Shrimataji, why she said something which is not exactly the same, which we know, um, make me think further and try to realize why she said that. So I have two answers. First one is the fact that in front of the, the Stonehenge construction, there are indeed some formation. If you look from above, we have an exhibition here a few years ago, so I was interested in that subject a lot. There are some stones who are also naturally appear. So those are the Swayambhus on one hand. On the other hand, the stones who are bringing by the 10,000 people or 5,000 people back were um, bring them from the Swayambhus. So they are. Yeah. So what's your take on that one?
I agree. I mean, the stones, all stones are made by God, really. And some stones are naturally powerful and full of vibrations and could be something special from the Mother Earth that was created with great vibrations.
Yeah.
And the ancient people, if they were sensitive to those vibrations, naturally they knew that some people were realized souls. They knew that some stones are holy, so they respect those stones. Then
Yeah.
they carry them to what they consider to be, and they bring them to a place that they consider to be very auspicious place for worship. And Mother even mentioned that the people in Stonehenge, in one of her talks, Mother explained that in Stonehenge, Adi Guru was there helping them, you see. So Adi Guru gave them some guidance, when they were doing all those works there. I don't know exactly what phase Adi Guru was there to help, but they received great help from realized souls in the past. Even to do that job they did there, whatever they did or when they did, I don't know. But some of the stones there are holy, no doubt. And they came from a long distance because they were holy. That's why they brought them. And so they are there, as well as other aspects are man-made, others are not. You see, in Portugal, when Mother discovered the Swayambhu there in Portugal of the Virgin Mary, you see, the archaeologists have looked into that statue also. And what is the strangest thing is that to discover the statue originally, they had to dig the mountain from the side to find the grotto. This is because the dog fell on the hole and they could not get the dog out. So the man dug the mountain from the side. They made a channel and they found the dog. But they also found the grotto, natural. This is not man-made. The grotto was there.
Do you
And
have the
inside
picture?
yes, it's on my website. You can see the statue of the Virgin Mary that appeared as a Swayambhu. And so that stone is made, the geologists and the scientists, they've established that statue is made of the same composition as the grotto. It's the same. So nobody knows who made that statue, but it appeared from the earth just like that. It was there. And that were miracles. The statue then disappeared by itself and appeared on top of an olive tree. This is strange. Now the statue can fly or what? It's on top of an olive tree. That's the vision. This everybody saw it and they got cured, they got miracles. And then the statue appeared again inside the grotto where it was found. And they knew this is such a holy statue, you have to build a church here and create a temple for that statue. So it happened. The church was built over that grotto where they found the statue. It was a miraculous photograph. Mother didn't know anything about this, but from a big distance while driving, Mother said, there must be something very great here. It could be, in the end, she said it could be a Swayambhu. Initially, Mother said it could be a tooth of Lord Buddha. It could be some hairs from the Prophet Muhammad. And then in the end, Mother changed her mind and said, I think it's a Swayambhu. And then from a distance, she saw, there goes your Swayambhu. From a long distance, such a tiny statue, Mother saw it and she knew this is the Swayambhu. And go and find out the story about this. And the booklet, the church had a booklet about how this statue was found out. And they found it inside the Mother Earth. They dug it and there it is. And it's a miraculous statue. So many cures and miracles, they felt they have to build a church there. And Mother discovered all this in Portugal like this. But in Portugal, Mother said also in the Diwali Puja, as you remember, in Lisbon, she went to the pujas there in Portugal, Sintra and all that. She said that the apparitions of the Virgin Mary in Fatima in Portugal, those apparitions are genuine, Mother said. She also told us at the time, we were very new in Sahaj. Okay, now don't go running there back to Fatima. We used to go every year. And when we were Catholics, we used to go there in any case. We had been before Sahaj. Since she told us all, okay, there's no need to go and rush there again because the church are in charge of that place. My mother said, genuine, yes, the Virgin did appear there to the children, and did those miracles. And on one of those pujas, when mother came, she asked to be driven around the location of the miracles. So the car was driven in a kind of a circle around that area where the apparitions took place. There were several apparitions there. And mother wanted to be driven around to see it. So mother was again vibrating that place. Remember how mother was driving around that building? I think I told you the story, mother driving around the building to vibrate the building. So in Portugal, this location of the apparitions, the vibrations are not so correct at present because there's a lot of church rituals done there, so vibrations can be affected. So mother was driven around the area of the apparitions, you know. She asked the driver to drive her around. She never went exactly on the spot where the church does the rituals, but she was driven around. And she said these apparitions of the Virgin Mary, especially the ones that happened before she was born, some of them are genuine. They're true, you see, especially the ones that took place. Now, this was the year of 1917, around that time, these apparitions, and mother was born 1923. So this is before mother's birth. And there are many other apparitions of the Virgin Mary before mother was born that are also genuine. Mother confirmed those. And then there are some that took place after she was born, and some of them are not so powerful, not so correct. So, but that one mother verified it, so we're lucky. All right, so we know there's something to be learned there as well. Mother was very kind to the Portuguese people to vibrate that place by asking to be driven around the area.
Yeah.
So mother also did the job of vibrating the place. Now, when you're saying, should we vibrate those places? Even mother did that. Mother also vibrated those places. Sri Rama also used to vibrate the land, and Sri Sita walking barefoot, the deities have always been traveling and vibrating places, vibrating places. Even we have to travel a little bit to receive some vibrations and to share some vibrations. And again, I was not present when mother did this driving around the location, but I was so lucky to that people told me we were there with mother, that someone was driving mother, the people drove inside the car with mother. These are the lucky people tell me this great story that mother asked to be driven around the locations of the apparitions of the Virgin in Portugal. I said, wow, thank God they told me this. If they hadn't told me, I would never know this.
We are getting close to our
Oh, timetable. Yes, it's almost midnight
we are
here.
we are getting close, and I don't want to start another subject because I don't want to cut it in the middle. So will be fair to say that we said nearly everything about what we propose to do today. So do you believe, do you want to add something to wrap it up, or
No, no. I'm very glad, that
should we close
mother,
it?
very glad that mother told us that in her talks, but explained Sai Baba was a prophet of Saj Yoga. So we honor him in Saj Yoga very much for being a prophet of Saj Yoga.
Yeah,
And that's why the book was created with that purpose in mind.
yeah. So I couldn't thank you enough for everything you told us, not only today, but during the whole series with you. We will definitely continue if you agree to do that.
I
I
do, I do. We can talk a few more miracles of mother. I could share a few
yes.
more if you want to hear. I'm
Oh,
very glad to share a
I'm
few more.
yeah, I'm very much interested. So today I learn a lot, and we will continue to listen to you, all these fantastic stories, all the richness of what Shimataji have told you and other stories. And again, today was for me, I'm not sure if for the people who listen to us, was a special one because I have few moments of spark. So again, I repeat myself, sorry about that, but I learn a lot and I want to thank you. Saying that, we will say goodbye to people who listen to us with the promise that we will come back with many interesting stories and memories and about your books. For the moment, I will say goodbye to you, Jai Shri Mataji,
Jai Shri Mataji.
and
Thank you.
goodbye to everybody and Jai Shri Mataji.
Jai Shri
We will
Mataji.
meet
Thank you.
again soon. Bye bye.
Jai Shri Mataji.